left. Pete, your reaction to what's been proposed, first off.
Well, you're absolutely right. Aren't there other places? The Defense Department has been taking this from the very beginning and for a long time, and entitlement programs haven't seen a single overhaul. Nothing. And again, we go with the Department of Defense as if this is the one place, because it's the largest part of the discretionary budget. And for this administration, it's an ideological approach. It is an attempt to shrink a department they want to shrink. They want the U.S. obligation in the world to decrease. And that's what this does, because if you handcuff yourself, you can't fight in the future. They don't want to fight a land war, but guess what, Brian? As you know, we don't get to pick the next fight. So it's so short-sighted and foolish, but it's a concerted attempt to shrink the military.
Remember, in 1939, we had an army of 185,000. You know how big that army ended up getting because we had this thing called a World War, which we didn't want to get into, but we didn't have a choice. Let's take a look at entitlement spending dating back to 1990 and compare it to where defense spending is in comparison to that. Now, look at today's dollars. That's one thing. People think it's going up, but as you look at where entitlement spending has gone, you could see it's almost doubled. So entitlement spending goes to the automatic withdrawal out of our accounts, and the defense spending continues to shrink in proportion. Meanwhile, Pete, you do say that there are some things about the military, and you're seeing that graphic right now. Look at how close it was in 1990, and look at the big discrepancy now. Now, you do say there are problems. When it comes to the Pentagon, there is some redundancy there, and there's some things there that can be cut.
Sure there are. There are places the Pentagon can be more efficient with the dollars they have, and our organization, Concerned Vets for America, has been very aggressive. Let's find that fat and cut it, because if not, you're going to see personnel and healthcare costs within the Pentagon start to push out warfighting capabilities. Almost the entitlements within the Defense Department can crowd out. But that is one small piece, and if you look at it within the larger picture, as you did, it's amazing to watch how much we are spending on entitlement programs writ large without it being touched at all, while the DoD is somehow the place where we're going to balance our budget, which is not, it's not possible at all.
Anyway, I mentioned curtailing, closing some bases, curtailing construction of a new class of Navy ships cherished by some top admirals, and scrapping an Air Force plane used to protect U.S. forces in Iraq and Afghanistan.
The A-10.
There may be a new theater they need to be done. Now, you do point out, too, that there's an intention issue when it comes to administrations and their goals, that you as a captain who's been in Afghanistan twice gets the sense of what it's like on the ground. Tell me the difference.
No, that's right. You know what? If President Reagan or President George W. Bush had proposed cuts like this because, well, we're $17 trillion in debt and we've got some strategic recalculations we have to make, you can take that because you understand, hey, they want to maintain a robust military and understand America's central role in the world. But from this administration, they couch a chopping of our military as strategy. And you look at this document and there's no coherence, and I've talked to some general officers and others who've looked at this. There is very little coherence, and as a captain on the ground who's been in some of these places, the A-10 is the first one on the chopping block, the one we really use on the battlefield to support troops, and there's other platforms being preserved for political reasons.
So, you know, it's so funny, they call the A-10 the tank killer. Oh, they were just constructed to take out Soviet tanks. Since that's not going to be a threat in Western Europe, we can get rid of them now. That is just a line. Now, I want to move on to health care and the veteran, which really concerns you and should concern almost every American, whether you're involved or not. The Daily Caller has a story today that they are so backlogged at the vet, they started destroying different cases. In fact, we have some audio from one of the Los Angeles bureaus. Let's listen.
I'm still canceling orders from 2001.
Anything over a year old should be canceled.
Should be canceled or scheduled?
Canceled, because they wouldn't let us do a mass purge. So it's just a matter of getting in there and canceling them ourselves.
So getting in there and canceling themselves. Let's cancel backlogged exam requests by destroying them.
This is the Los Angeles office, reported by the Daily Caller. They've got medical requests for examinations coming in, 3,000 coming in a month. They can only handle 800, so they got this massive backlog growing. And rather than going after it, attacking it, creating a process to do it, it's not as if one or two employees decided to destroy records. A committee got together and decided to cancel the records, meaning destroying records of veterans who are waiting for medical exams. And the audio goes on to talk about, well, some of them have already died anyway, or they've already moved, so let's just cancel the request. It is as low as it gets. We knew the Department of Veterans Affairs is fudging these numbers. We've known that for a long time. But to destroy records of veterans waiting for care, that's as bad as it gets.
We hope General Shinseki, who's running the VA, is watching right now, because Bates Act of 2008, something should be streamlined there. Things should have been corrected there. You don't go into the heart of it and gut out health insurance and then start destroying the number of troops that we have on ready for action. Now at 455,000, that's the proposal. My hope is that Democrats see the same problem that Buck McKee and the Republicans saw as chairman of Armed Services and take some action. Senator Gillibrand, who focuses on health care and the veteran, seems to be not willing to go along with it. Congress can stop it. Hopefully they stand up and do so. Captain Pete Hegseth, thanks so much.
Thanks, Brian.